What's up, guys? Welcome to episode number 9.
Oh, you're already at 9.
We are already at 9.
Wow.
Thanks for coming on. I'm your host, Jason Manarinter. We don't got Dave today. Dave's out of town. And we got a good friend that I've known for a very long time. It hasn't been 20 years.
Well, how old are...
We're 33.
I'm 34.
You're
33.
Probably
yeah,
50.
14, 13, Vincent Massey days for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
So yeah, almost 20 years, and longtime friend. And he's a chief operating officer at NDAX and a founding team member. Other things you might not know about him is he's an accountant, and he currently is doing a CPA designation. And he's also a CFA level 2 candidate. Don't know what that is, but sounds legit.
It's a lot of letters that I haven't finished, and it's a lot of things that I'm hoping to complete and in the process of completing, and I hope we'll get through that.
Yeah, because we were just talking this week, and you just were writing an exam or something?
Yeah, I was doing my Core 1 exam in the CPA, so it's something that I knew I always had to do. So the CPA is basically the designation after you have an accounting degree. You look to kind of finish your CPA, and then you move on from there.
I didn't even finish school for accounting. I was there for 3 years.
Yeah. No, sometimes I forget that you went into accounting.
Yeah.
In Lethbridge.
Hated it. Yep.
What made you even go into that?
My parents.
Yeah.
My parents. And then I was like, what am I doing here? Remember, you always came down to Lethbridge and,
Yeah, we had some fun down there. I think that, what was it called? The Roadhouse?
I don't even know what they were called.
Yeah.
Those were blurry nights for sure.
Yeah, no, that's a lot like me, actually, because I actually started off, a lot of people don't know this, my first year of schooling was in engineering.
Oh, what?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. My dad, I was the last kid, so he was kind of like, please, do engineering,
Mm-hmm.
someone follow in my footsteps. Mm-hmm. So, I said, look, I'll give you a year. I kind of went into it thinking I'm not going to like it. Mm-hmm. I did it. I just looked around. I remember being in class, and I just looked around at everyone, and I was just like, man, I don't think I'm like these people, and I don't know if I could do this for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. But I do think sometimes what life would be like if I did that. And I'm sure you think sometimes what life would be like if you...
Don't even look back. I'm like, it is what it is.
I don't think there's anything wrong with looking back. Yeah. I think you have to... I mean, it's no regrets, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think you should kind of reflect on your decisions, right?
Yeah, totally reflect, and everything happened the way it needed to happen, right?
Exactly.
And now you're at NDAX.
Yeah, NDAX.
So before we start, this is what the whole the podcast, I think we wanted to talk about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is Bitcoin, and you guys run.
Yeah, we run a trading platform. So basically, what had happened is around 2017. We identified that there was a gap, and there was a gap between what we felt was, the standard of what a customer should go through to purchase cryptocurrencies, compared to, what was actually out there at that time. It was like the Wild Wild West, if you remember, because I know you were involved. I've got a lot of my friends involved at that time to purchase Bitcoin. It was pretty much like find a place, find an ATM or find a broker, hope they're open, give them your money and pray that they're giving you Bitcoin, because you don't even know.
Yeah, it was so sketchy.
Yeah.
The first time I remember I bought Bitcoin, you actually brought it up to, I feel like, a lot of fuss about it. Yeah. And you're like, yo, this is the next thing. Yeah. This is... And we're talking about it, and you're like, I'm like, well, how do you buy Bitcoin? And I think at this time, there was one place in Calgary, like in a cafe or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, go there, give them cash, and they're gonna give you like
I think I set up your wallet for
yeah,
you or
you set up my
something like
wallet or
that,
something,
yeah.
and they'll transfer it to your
Yeah.
wallet and all this.
Yeah.
And I think I bought like $4,000, and I think it was like just
You probably had like a little bit more. You probably had like 1.5 or maybe 2 Bitcoin at that time.
yeah, it was like 1 point something Bitcoin, right?
And then things went
Yeah,
nuts.
things went crazy.
Things went nuts. It went like 10 times that. It went to 20K. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But so that exactly that point, there was that gap that we thought it shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be that sketchy. There's got to be an easier way for people to purchase Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and it's got to be safe. So really, that's kind of what set NDAX going.
So how did you get involved with NDAX? Because
yes, so because I started getting involved in the crypto community in Calgary, obviously it's a niche community, it's a smaller community, and at that time there wasn't a lot of people talking about it. So you knew my group was growing. A lot of people, we were talking in a chat. We had, our group started growing to 50, 100 people. And someone in that group I had known through university had linked me with Bilal, who is the original founder of NDAX. So he said, look, my friend's thinking about starting an exchange here. Do you want to meet him? So I met him, and I realized that...
You met Bilal's friends?
I met Bilal,
yeah,
who is the founder of
he
NDAX.
is? Okay.
Yeah, he's the CEO and founder.
Okay.
I met him, and I realized that, I liked his passion, and I thought he was bright. And, I came in very skeptical. And I said, look, maybe I want to get on board here. I think I think I could bring something here, and I think it's something, I'm passionate about. Let's see what we can do. So that's kind of how it started.
So it was just you two at the beginning?
No, at the beginning it was Bilal. He brought on another guy early on, and then he brought on a compliance officer, because the thing about when you're moving money in Canada, you've got to have a money service business license. And with that, with FinTrack, you've got to hire a compliance officer and all that. So there's a lot of things you have to do beforehand. And then I came on board.
So this was early 2017?
This is, late 2017.
Okay.
Late 2017, yeah.
Weren't you guys also the first Canadian trader or something?
What happened was we were the first one with an official bank account. And that was one of the biggest gaps in the industry at that time, is all the other platforms and brokers and ATMs out there, they were getting shut down by banks. So they'd build a numbered company, they'd open up a bank account, get shut down, those assets would get frozen, they'd move to another bank account, from then, so on and so forth. And what we did was we approached the banks and we said, look, give us a bank account. And they said, well, what do you do? Crypto? No. And we're like, and we didn't take no. We said, okay, well, no, fine. But what's it going to take? Well, you're going to need this, this, and that. And then we just kept persisting. We did everything they asked. And, finally we got one of them to say yes. So
you guys were the first legit Canadian bank that allowed you to do transactions with Bitcoin? Basically there was no fear from our clients that their funds would get frozen or anything like that. It was just Canadian banks dealing with Canadian banks. So you could send an e-transfer, you could send a wire, you could send, a bank draft to us, and there's no kind of, fear that your account's going to get shut down or that account's going to get shut down, because that's what was happening at that time. Okay, so let's actually start diving behind the business now of NDAX, your role, what you do there, and kind of how you've evolved in the business and what it was like at the beginning and where it is at now, right? So what do you actually do there? Yeah. Well, the thing that's funny about startups, we're always mentioning this, is you have to wear a lot of hats. There's only so many bodies
and you've got to basically, you've got to get every ounce that you can out of every employee. But, I run the day-to-day operations of the firm. I'm in charge of the trading platform, so I've got to make sure that the platform is functioning correctly the way we have, making sure everything is right. Customers' deposits are getting processed, or withdrawals are getting processed. Yeah, like I said, a lot of hats. So
when you first get into business, right, you don't even really know what you signed yourself up for.
Exactly, right? You start to, that's the cool thing about a startup is, when you're working for a big company, you may be passionate about a few things, but you're only fit into that role that they've given you. And they only really want you to focus on what your job is, and you can't really grow. You can grow if you move horizontally or vertically, but you can't, the role starts to fit in a startup. You start to see who's good at what and where they can go, and take everybody's kind of, best benefits that they can bring to the team, and you start moving them. And so to go back to what you're saying, what do I do? So I make sure the trading platform is functioning correctly. I'm hedging our assets, whether it's crypto or our US dollars or Canadian dollars. I'm the treasurer. I'm the signee at the bank. Make sure our bills are paid, make sure deposits are coming in. I run a lot of the staff that are there, especially on the non-technical side.
How many employees are there?
Yeah, so NDAX has been growing. It's been a successful company. We're into our third year now, and
I would say NDAX is a startup tech company.
We're a startup tech company, and we're moving from a startup to the growth stage, which is kind of huge. And to go from a startup to growth, the metrics you're looking at is revenues. Are you making profit? How many employees you have? So we've moved from 4 or 5 employees at the very start to now we're at 16, 17 employees.
That's crazy, man. Good for you guys. It's very hard to stay consistent and grow the business, especially in this market, right? How have you done that? And are you managing these people, or how did you evolve into your role, I guess? Did you even know you were getting into all this when you started?
No, honestly, I didn't know specifically what my role was going to be at that time. And that's kind of what I was mentioning. You have to, I don't know how all startups do it, but for us, we grew into each role, and whoever excelled in their positions got to where they were doing. And the thing I want people to know about a startup is it's not all rainbows and roses.
Oh, no.
It's long hours. It's shitty pay at the very beginning. You've got to sacrifice time with your family. We're pushing 75 hours a week easily.
It's the grind, man.
Yeah,
right?
That's the thing about life. No matter what you do, you have to grind. No matter what industry in, what job, anything, you have to grind. And Olympic athletes have to grind if they want to get to the Olympics. You know what I mean? So that's everything in life. If you think that you're just going to coast through life with everything happy-go-lucky and not have to put the work in, you'll never succeed. So yeah, it took a lot of work to get to where we were. We sacrificed a lot of time, weekends. I think you saw, sometimes I'd be bringing a laptop to a house party, right? So
and I'm like, what are you doing? You're like, I just got to do this transaction and make sure this is good.
And that's the thing about a startup, and that's the thing about the crypto industry is it's 24/7. There's no Christmas. There's none of that.
I didn't know how deep you were in with the company and how involved you were. It seems like you are actually taking this head on and taking the lead role with a lot of things.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, there's I think everybody at the company is definitely, everyone that's working there is got a huge role. And I don't want people to think it's just me or just a select few. Everybody that's been there from the start. I've seen so much growth from all the people that are working there. Everybody's been challenged to do things that they're uncomfortable with. Everyone's been challenged to grow into things that they never thought they could do. And that's probably what I would say is the best part of being in a startup is you're challenging yourself every day. It's not mundane. You're wearing different hats, and you get to really know yourself. You get to see what you're good at, what you're bad at, and see if you can take those things that you're bad at and make yourself better.
Totally. How did you feel getting into this? Did you know what you were getting yourself into? Because you went to school, right? And you essentially joined up with this company.
Yeah, my dream was to go into equity research.
Okay.
Right. And that was the grind that I was getting into, before crypto came around. And then when I learned about crypto and I saw I could use some of the traditional skills that I have, and I was passionate about something, I realized.
Dude, you were so passionate.
Yeah. So I was I'm blessed because I get to work every day in an industry that I'm passionate about, and not a lot of people get to do that. But on the other hand, it's a grind. You don't have the security of what you used to have, at a traditional company. You can't say, you're not worried, is this company going to exist in 5 years? I have to worry about things like that. So, there's a risk, you're learning, but I think that, after NDAX, that I think, a startup is something that I would go into again, right? Totally. So it's very, the skills that you learn.
It's such a high paced environment, and I feel like it's really exciting, right? Yeah,
it's exciting, and I don't know if you could go back to a traditional 9 to 5, and a lot of people say that. But what I wanted to mention was I hear a lot of people say I can't work a 9 to 5. I heard you've said it. I've heard many people say it, but I don't know if that's necessarily true. Right? Because I think people look at a 9 to 5 and they say, oh, I got to go to work. I have to have a boss and I got to do something that I don't want to do. But I want people to know there's a lot of shit you don't want to do when you're working at a startup. There's a lot of shit you can't do, you don't want to do, but you have to do. Right? So, when you're working for a startup or you're working for yourself, you own your own business or whatever, it's not all rainbows and roses. Like, no. You're doing stuff you wish you didn't have to do.
Yeah. But those things, I feel that you don't want to do, you have to do it because it's on you, right?
If you don't do it, who's going to do it?
Exactly. And I think what is different with like a 9 to 5 is, at the end of the day is like, this is your kind of your thing also.
Yeah.
No one can let you go, and like, it's something you're more passionate about, right?
Yeah.
You're choosing to do it. I couldn't imagine myself doing an accounting right now, because it's just like I did mortgages and I felt like it was.
But then think about this, right? Think about if you did do accounting and then you started your own business, those skills that you would have had, right?
Yeah.
So
I get that.
I think it's the thing. That's the thing about startups is I'm taking skills that I had at Bell, right? When I was working at Bell, and I remember that's when you started your mortgage, kind of.
Oh God!
Life, right at Westbrook Mall.
We were like kids back in the day. Yeah.
But you have to take everything that you've learned in your entire life and you have to apply it. Because what was the point, right? So,
what would you say you've learned the most since you started until now, right? Because I feel like it's funny because we've known each other for so long, and we've seen each other, I feel, grow.
Definitely, yeah.
From like, man, high school party days, to just work, and we were
doing stupid shit.
Doing so much dumb shit, right? Yeah. I remember you always had house parties.
Lots of house parties. Everybody there. Yeah. Doing a lot of.
We did a lot
of dumb stuff.
Yeah.
But so do a lot of kids, right?
For sure.
And I wouldn't like you kind of said earlier in the podcast. You can't look back and regret anything or change anything. I think I'm very comfortable. I'm very happy about where I am right now, and
Well, what I was saying is like I've seen ourselves grow up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Even being in the mall, when you're at Bell learning sales, and I'm doing we were still very young.
Yeah.
Right now, I think we're at an age where we're like, this is getting serious. Like we're building something now. We're doing something.
You're trying to you're trying to better your life for not just yourself, but for maybe your kids later on
your
in the future and
your
whatnot.
family.
You start to get more responsibility comes because you need to be responsible for more than just yourself, and you have to look out for others. So,
so what would you say you have learned about business? Kind of just like taking it head on, business, and learned about yourself within the last 3 years about growing and development and like.
Those are pretty heavy questions.
Yeah, let's get into that.
What have I learned the most about myself? I learned that becoming uncomfortable is good. Yeah. If you're not uncomfortable with something, that means you're not challenging yourself. You're being complacent. You're being, you're just staying kind of where you are. But to move further up and onwards, you have to be you have to do things that you wouldn't necessarily do, and you have to go in it and just say fuck it.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about a startup, is that if you don't do it, the company might fail. There's a lot, you've got to challenge yourself every day. And so what I've learned about myself is that I can see a challenge out there, and I like to go at it straight up. Whereas when I was a kid, if something didn't go my way, I would kind of leave it for the last minute and kind of just push it under the rug, hope it goes away. But with now, I know that you got to take things head on and go for it, and more or less 9 times out of 10 you're gonna probably come out of it okay.
Totally. I think a lot of it is being comfortable with yourself to know that you could do it.
Yeah.
And the more things you do that are uncomfortable, the more things you will do and let yourself do things that are uncomfortable, because you're getting comfortable now with being uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly it. You're getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, which is, it's hilarious. But I've also learned that, man, small companies, small businesses, they're learning as they're going. Not everybody is this professional. Everything is correct. Everything is documented. Everything is this way. Like, that's what we're going through right now. We're NDAX itself. We're going through a couple registrations and licenses and things of that nature, and you start to see this startup, this baby, turn into a real company that has to do real things. Code of conduct, professionalism, HR, all of that is real. But when you're a startup, it's kind of pushed to the side, and then you realize all those things that you learned about corporate governance, all these things, they're very important. And it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Structures, policies,
business structures, contracts. Every contract you sign, you better be reading it and get your lawyer to sign off on it. And lawyers cost a lot of money. Yeah.
I totally agree, man. Yeah. I feel like people that are looking outside of business think on the forefront everything looks good. But on the back end, even with our business, there's so many things that still need worked on, or with all the companies I've got into, it's like you're working on these procedures. Something happens, now you got to fix it. And now totally understand where you're like, you need structures, you need policies. Yeah. Because all these things have happened. Yeah. And that's why all these big corporations, all these big companies have these in place, right?
Exactly. It's not for no reason, right? Yeah. And I remember going in school, and I was taking some courses. I think, what was it? It was like corporate strategy or something like that. And I was like, man, I'm going to be an accountant. Who cares? Yeah. And then I just realized, and I remember we were talking to someone, and she was trying to sell, basically she wanted to show strategy and all of that, and everything she was talking about, I'm just recalling from my business class, and I'm just like, wow, these things matter. Yeah, they're important, and you can't. when you're young, you just whatever you think like life is.
It's so simple, but it gets actually so complex, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what most companies, new companies that are startups, it's always evolving, and I feel like no one actually knows what they're doing, you know, unless you're like 10 years into the business, into the company, you have your structures, but they say it takes like 5 years to actually get the business in place, right?
Yeah, so you have startups,
Yep.
and then you can call them alpha companies. Then you have beta companies, and then you have growth companies, right? So there's different stages of startups that are out there.
And you guys are in your growth.
Yeah, we're starting to move from beta to growth, and you just see it's every year things change so much at a startup. So I'm just so interested to see what it's going to be like a year from now. I remember the first day we got to our original office. You came to the original office, didn't you?
No, actually, I've never been there.
You didn't come to the barbecue or any of that?
I don't remember, but I'd like to see the new office.
We went to, we had an original office. It was, it was in downtown. It was a little beaten up. I remember the first day, what did we do? Like, we had the founder on the ground on his knees, like painting the wall, and like I'm painting the wall, and I'm on a ladder, and we're painting the office. Yeah. And fast forward to now we're in a really nice building in Livingston Place, in Eau Claire area, and things have just gone so well for us. It's been so exciting, and I just think I think what's going to happen 2 years, 3 years from now, where are we going to be? It's exciting to think about things like that.
How many? So does all your employees and everyone, like, are they all going to work, or do people work at home now, or how does that work?
So being a tech company, and a tech company in Alberta, we can get into that a little bit later, but so being a tech company, we're used to working from home. So when COVID happened, we set our kind of emergency procedures up, and we have kind of documents on, if there was a fire at the office, what would we do? So we kind of use that response for COVID, and we all started working from home, and it was very easy because we all work from home anyway on the weekends or at night. Like I say, we were working 75 hours a week. So it was very easy. Startups are agile. That was not difficult. We're a tech company too, right? So not difficult at all. But we're thinking of coming back. We're still kind of assessing the situation out there in Calgary. I know there's been new cases, and the cases are starting to get worse. So, we've held off on returning to the office. But most of the Calgary people, they're definitely come to the office,
and they're all in Calgary.
The Calgary guys that are working with us, they're in the office. We have some developers that are work over across Canada and overseas. And
so they're not all in.
We've got a couple guys in Eastern Canada as well that work for us. So, and one, in Edmonton.
Crazy. I guess I didn't even realize you guys were a tech company.
That's fintech, right? So that's the thing in Alberta. You're starting to see a lot of tech companies start to evolve. There recently was a kind of a mandate from a working group here, and they finally convinced the Alberta government to start looking into tech companies and fostering them, and realizing, hey, we need to help them, and we need to show them that Alberta is a place where tech companies can really nurture themselves and grow. And so they're starting to bring a lot of policies that are going to help startups and VCs investing in tech companies grow in Alberta, which is very exciting.
In Calgary too, I'm hoping.
Calgary. These are province-wide.
So you do see like a shift where the government's trying to help people bring them in, because Calgary's so.
Toronto added 80,000 jobs from tech only last year.
Crazy,
right? So
why don't they come to Calgary?
Exactly. And
it's like probably so much cheaper.
It starts
too.
from the province.
Yeah.
And I think that people are starting to realize, hey, let's start to put a little bit of money in tech. Let's start to diversify the economy a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's not that we're, turning our backs to the oil and gas industry. That is the core of Calgary and Alberta.
For sure.
But let's help these tech companies grow, because they can innovate and they can bring jobs in, right? So mm-hmm. we went from 4 to 14, mm-hmm. right? In 3 years. So how many other companies are doing that as well? So you'll see a lot of tech companies are growing.
Got it.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, let's hear it.
What have you learned after 9 episodes of Behind the Business and talking to a lot of people that have started their business or working for startups or, in that kind of entrepreneurial phase? What
I've learned the most, and like you said it, and I feel like pretty much all entrepreneurs say it, is, the startup, you don't really know what you're doing.
Yeah.
When you get into entrepreneurship, you really don't know. There's no training module. There's no direct way to do it, right? Because if you're your own entrepreneur, you're gonna do things, and then if they don't work out, then you're gonna try something else, right?
And how many people do you think don't do it because of that very fact? They think, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. How could I do it?"
Exactly. They're scared.
Yeah.
They're trying to prepare for something that might not even exist.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fear-based, where they're creating something in their mind and they're scared that like it's not going to work out, it's not going to look the way it is, and it's not perfect, right? And so when you get into your head, that's when you, like, even if you think you're going to fail, which you are going to fail,
of course,
that's going to hold you back. So you're actually failing already by not actually trying.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's one thing I keep hearing, whereas everyone that's starting up, they don't really know what they're doing.
Like, yeah, like, I mean, you've got to be prepared and planning, certain things, mm-hmm. but you don't know everything.
Exactly.
And you're not supposed to know everything. And I think that's probably the best thing about your podcast, is that if it can make one listener say, "Fuck it,
that's exactly what,
let me go try it," then I think you've accomplished something.
That's totally what we're trying to do, is actually get people to do what they actually want to do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what if you don't even want to know what you are going to have to do in the future? Like, if you knew what you were doing with NDAX right now at the beginning, you would have been like, "Fuck that," right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like to move into something that is different and new is the hardest thing, and be okay with failing. And I think that's what...
Be okay with failing. Yeah. Be okay. Being uncomfortable is okay. It's actually something you should want to do. Mm-hmm. And, you grow up, you're in school, you learn every grade, you learn something new. Mm-hmm. You're learning new things. And then what do you say when you're done university? Are you saying you're just going to stop learning? Mm-hmm. Are you going to just stop? You're going to just be that person till you pass away?
And that's where I think people stop too.
Yeah.
They don't further their education in any ways. Not, and also personal development too, mm-hmm. right? Like, I think we're in the next phase of life where people are becoming more aware on how their brain works.
Yeah.
And being able to manage that and how to address that, right?
Yeah.
So I think self-development is like a very key thing to your happiness, and people don't want to put in that work for self-development mm-hmm. to become more aware of yourself, right?
A lot of people are unhappy, and then you ask them, why are you unhappy? And they list things that they actually have more control of than they think.
Yeah.
And I hope that's, if there's anyone listening that, you've always been passionate about something, do the planning, make sure it's a good idea, make sure that it's going to work. You don't just quit, something that you're doing now to do something that doesn't make sense. But if it makes sense, mm-hmm. don't let being afraid of not thinking you can do it stop you.
For sure. I think that's awesome advice, Tanim.
Yeah.
So explain, like, the process now that you guys have, if because I haven't bought Bitcoin since I sold it, but right now, so if someone wants to buy Bitcoin with you guys, is it only Bitcoin? Can they buy everything else, all the other Litecoins, whatever coins?
Yeah, we have a large assortment of coins. What we've decided to do here is we don't want to bring any coin onto the platform. We don't want our users trading some coin that only has a really small market cap that can be manipulated, that we don't feel comfortable with our clients selling. So we like to take some of the highest market cap coins, the ones with the most demand, bring them onto the platform and allow Canadians to sell or buy with Canadian dollars.
So do they just go onto the website and create an account and then transfer funds into the account?
That's exactly it. So they got to create an account and get verified. So we have to make sure that it's you that's registered. So you can either instantly get verified, or if there's something wrong with it, let's say you moved and your address isn't the same as 3 years ago, then it's going to ask for additional documentation. Once you're approved, you fund your account. You can buy Bitcoin in a minute and withdraw it or keep it on the platform.
So you're let's say $1,000, I buy I don't even know 10% of a Bitcoin. So that when I buy that online, I just get that Bitcoin. And
so you can hold it on the platform if you want. You can hold it on your NDAX account, or you can say, look, I want to withdraw it to my own personal wallet.
What do most people do with their Bitcoins right now?
Yeah, so right now, I would say the majority of our clients, they purchase Bitcoin and then they'll send it to another exchange, like maybe Binance or something, and then they'll maybe buy some other coin with it that they can't get here. Maybe they'll trade it back and forth there, or maybe they'll just store it in their own wallet. A lot of our clients just keep their crypto on the exchange itself, on NDAX.
Has anyone bought in real estate? I remember you were talking to me about this.
So
about they were doing transaction and
it's actually a lot easier than people think. So in 2019, was it 2008, late 2018, maybe 2019, we partnered with Click. It's a home builder here in Calgary, and to make it so anybody could buy a piece of property with Bitcoin. Right now, I had a deal going last year, but not just, people have the fear of using Bitcoin, but there's also that kind of a little bit of a fear of the market here right now too, residential profit. Because when you're buying with Bitcoin, not only are you saying, okay, look, I'm going to sell my Bitcoin now. What if Bitcoin goes up? And then you're also saying, what if the home value goes down? So it's a little bit weary at this time. I do have something pending going on right now, but the buyer is a private buyer, so he's not. Usually we'd make a PR about it and kind of go to the news and make it kind of but for him, he's more of a private guy, so we're gonna wait and see. But it hasn't been completed yet, so we have not done a transaction yet. But it's definitely very easy. And really the way we're doing it is we're just going to liquidate that Bitcoin to Canadian dollars. And then that's when you sign the agreement for the price and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty straightforward with hey, I have, 20 Bitcoins, and then you just liquidate it. And then just... and so you guys just hold on to those Bitcoins.
Well, it depends. It depends on what's going on. We have different practices and hedging strategies and whatnot, and we have floats that we have. So for up or down, it depends. So we might keep some. We might liquidate the whole thing. We might, hold it a little bit.
So you guys trade them also? Do you guys trade Bitcoin?
Well, when you say trade, we don't like to say trade. We hedge. We hedge. We hold a lot of crypto, so we try our best to make sure we're selling near what we feel is the top and buying back the float when we feel we're near the bottom, just to average down our the cost of assets that we have.
What's Bitcoin at right now?
I think it's moved up to 9,600 US. I think just in the past hour, whatnot. So I think we're almost up to 13K CAD. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's it's gone through a lot. What happened is in March when the stock market crashed and everything crashed with COVID and everything, we saw Bitcoin crash. It went from like 9K to like 4K or something like that. But it's recovered quite a bit, and so has the stock market. So, right now we're kind of dealing with everything is eerily back to normal. But I think a lot of people are still afraid of investing in anything, whether it be the stock market or Bitcoin or gold. They're kind of worried about the actual overall market.
Yeah, I feel like
And that's true with residential investment as well.
yeah, the residential real estate too. I say give it another 3 months to actually see where the market goes.
And that's everything right now. Everything is like let's wait 3 months. Let's see how the U.S. election goes. Let's see how if we're going to have a second wave of COVID. If we're
definitely going to be a second wave of COVID, I think.
So if we have to shut down the economy again, I don't know if it recovers like it does, right?
Yeah, I don't think it. I think it'll take a lot of time.
Yeah.
But what's interesting with Bitcoin, it's like pretty steady, and I would have thought it would have been like a lot lower, but it's held its price, and like I still don't really understand it.
It's a volatile asset when compared to traditional assets, of course, right? Yeah. But what we're starting to see definitely the past few months is that volatility is starting to die. But what I do know about Bitcoin,
it's not like before it was like 1,000 to 4,000,
Yeah, what I do know about Bitcoin though is the longer the volatility kind of, and again, I have to always preface this that I'm not giving financial advice or anything like that, but what we've seen in the past is that Bitcoin, when it's stuck in low volatility where it's not moving much, it'll explode one way or another, up or down. So we're kind of waiting to see which way that goes.
Do you think it's going to go higher? And what is the future of Bitcoin? Because when it first came out, it was so hot. It was like everyone was talking about it. Everyone was throwing money in it. Right now, I feel there's still talk about it, but I feel like it's not very clear with where it's going.
And you hit it right on the button, because I think what it's going through right now is really what's going to make it or break it. In the next 5 years, Bitcoin. The white paper came out about Bitcoin during the first financial crisis, the 2008 financial crisis, and right now a lot of people are speculating that instead of people dumping their money into gold and other precious metals like they usually do during financial crashes, a lot of people are speculating that maybe they're going to start moving into digital assets like Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right. So it's hard to say. It's still a lot of speculation out there. But what I do know is that a lot more institutional clients, a lot more family offices are starting to get into Bitcoin. JP Morgan,
Really?
Yeah, it's a lot of major players are starting to say, hey, we're going to get a little bit of Bitcoin. We're going to just see how it goes, more than what it was before, where they were kind of just shutting down Bitcoin thinking it's crap.
A lot of companies too this is what I don't get. They're like creating their own Bitcoin. Like, how does that?
Yeah, so
like, wasn't Facebook gonna create their own Bitcoin?
I think what happened is after that boom of Bitcoin in 2017, you also saw the rise of what's known as ICOs, which is basically a way to raise capital, but through digital assets. So they create their own coin. They say, hey, look, I got an idea for a project. Do you want to invest in it? If you invest in it, I'll give you this coin, and this coin is going to represent, that project. And if that project, goes nuts, then that coin that you have that's going to be worth more. So that's what was happening at that time. Mm-hmm. And because Bitcoin was going crazy, people were just putting money in, oh, this thing only costs 25 cents.
Exactly. That's
I'm going to get, like 100,000 coins.
Yeah.
And then if it goes to $1, wow, right?
Yeah.
So, what we saw come out of that was a lot of people raised a lot of capital and they ran away with the money. And because these weren't regulated or anything like that, mm-hmm. people were out of luck, right?
Yeah, there were so many coins that came out.
Yeah.
And it was like, which one do you choose? Mm-hmm. And it was like a straight up gamble, I felt. Because mm-hmm. you'd read up, every coin seemed like it was so promising. And you would put your money in it, switch it from Bitcoin mm-hmm. to there, and then like it could skyrocket or go low. You mm-hmm. don't know when to sell, right? So I feel like there's a lot of different avenues with Bitcoin, and it's like kind of even like people just trade it.
Well, there's the future. I think obviously a lot of people believe in Bitcoin, and so do I. Mm-hmm. Some people are starting to really start believing in Ethereum and something called DeFi. And DeFi is basically decentralized financial instruments. A simple way to say it is there's traditional financial instruments that are out there now, mm-hmm. and they want to decentralize it. And that's kind of the hype that's going on now on those things. Something like Compound, which is, a way to make interest off your crypto. Just the way you make interest off, your money now
in the bank.
Yeah. They're trying to make it so you can make interest off your crypto that you own.
So you just leave it in your account.
The way, it's a little bit more advanced than that, but it's something that's starting to take off quite a bit. The other big thing is tokenized assets. So that's saying, instead of those tokens, what I was talking about in the ICOs, those coins, having no...
Tokens are like Bitcoin, is same as Bitcoin, or like
people use the word token to represent a coin.
Okay.
And so what we're trying to say is, what if that coin was the same as a share in a company? If you own a share in the company, you have legal right. In Canada, you legally own part of that company. Right.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is, why not bring that legality to some of these assets and digitize them? So instead of owning a share in a company, you could own a digital share in a company.
How would that work to own a digital share? Like, could we relate it to real estate, like a house?
Exactly. Same thing. You could tokenize a house. You could tokenize an entire building complex. You could tokenize an office. And so right now.
So explain that, because let's say a house. I own a house. How would you?
Let's say a condo, right?
Okay, condo.
You grab a couple buddies and you're like, let's invest in this condo.
Yeah.
How many buddies can you really get for it to be worth it? Like, what would you say is the maximum?
To be worth it? I mean,
like, you're not going to get 100 friends.
Right? No. Right. Of course not. That's so complicated.
Why?
Well, I mean,
wouldn't it be cool if everybody could just put $1,000?
Yeah, so I think all the paperwork, if you actually wanted to do it on paper.
Yeah. Lawyer
fees and each
voting
person
rights.
signing and like all the contracts, and like if there's no mortgage, whatever, but you're not going to put every single person on title, right? Mm-hmm. That's just be crazy, right?
Right.
So it's a lot of work it would be a lot of work, in my opinion, to get 100 people on one person.
Same thing for an office building, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's kind of what
So you guys would sell like, let's say the condo's worth like 300,000, mm-hmm. and you wanted 300 of your friends in there.
Mm-hmm. So what they're doing is they're using the blockchain, right? Mm-hmm. And so what the blockchain is, it's a digital ledger that can't be. It's immutable, so it can't be changed. You can't go onto the blockchain and say, oh, actually, Jason owns 20% of this, mm-hmm. right? It's impossible.
So you guys would create
a private blockchain
for like, let's say 300 units
mm-hmm.
for this condo, mm-hmm. and people could buy it.
That's what tokenization is, right?
Okay.
So it's saying, okay, now we don't need the lawyer to look through all these pieces of paper. He just has to look at the blockchain. Oh, Jason owns this. Tanim owns this.
Whatever, friends. Yeah.
Dave owns this.
Yeah.
And it's all on there. And there's nobody can say, actually, no, I own 50% of this. No. That's the reference. That's the ledger. That's immutable. So it makes, this is a very simple way to say it, but it makes the overhead and all that complexity, it simplifies it and makes it very easy. And it also digitizes it so everyone can see it on a platform. So that's the base of what...
Sounds like the future of what you guys are trying to create for
well, not us, right?
Yeah,
like I'm not saying, NDAX is doing that, but I'm saying that's what tokenization is. And that's what a lot of people are looking into and thinking of getting into. And it's really taking the blockchain and the benefits of the blockchain and applying it to different industries.
When you say blockchain, you're talking about the technology.
The blockchain got very popular because of Bitcoin. Bitcoin was probably the first very popular project on blockchain. So what blockchain really is it's the simplest way I can explain it, it's a digital ledger.
Okay.
So it's something that's digitally available that nobody can just, they can't change it. They can't, like, you can't go
in there. Tweak it.
You can't tweak it, right?
It's there. It's like permanent.
Yeah, so it uses cryptography and whatnot to be able to make sure that nobody can singly change it. Because once one block is created, that second block has to be verified by all the other signers. And once one block is different than what it should be, it's rejected. And that's kind of the premise of it. When you look at different organizations and different industries that can use the blockchain, you start to realize there's a lot of jobs out there that can be lost because people can rely. They don't have to rely on a middleman to say, hey, all right, let me check that out. Yeah, it's right. Okay, you're good.
It's already done.
Yeah, we can both check it out. Just think about money, right?
Yeah.
Like right now, if you're sending me money, like $100, you're going to send it to me Interact e-transfer, right?
Yeah.
How does that work? Like, how do I know you gave me $100? Like, how can I say, yeah, for sure, Jason gave me the $100 or the debt's done?
Well,
because Interact's telling me.
Yeah,
the bank's telling me.
Yeah, exactly.
The bank's telling me.
Yeah.
And so the bank has to tell me, Interact has to tell me. What if you could send me $100 and we could both look on the internet right now and see that I got the $100?
Yeah, that confirms it. So you guys just...
So there's no middleman, right? So then you start to see that the fees that it would cost to move money and to move tokens and to move shares starts to become a lot cheaper, faster, and whatnot.
That's going to take some time. Then like I could see that happening.
Yeah, like a year ago.
It's happening right now.
A year ago, everybody said it's going to change the world and it's going to happen right now. And a lot of people that are listening, you can look up. Deloitte usually has a report every year about blockchain and what it's done in different industries. And, something that they mentioned was, again, everyone had this hype that it was going to change everything. But right now, we haven't seen much. Right? There's projects being worked on, but it's taking some time. And just like anything, it takes a lot of time for traditional industries to adapt and change and become agile.
Once I feel it does pick up, though, it will move fast. Like it actually does pick up.
You need innovators and leaders to change. And once they've changed, people will follow and other industries will follow or they'll fall behind. So that's how it works in any industry. Yeah,
because if you
look at electronic vehicles, right?
Yeah.
So now everybody's, Tesla came in. Now everybody wants to make EVs.
Exactly.
So
it sounds like though, it's the technology that's going to like Bitcoin came out, and now it's the technology that's more like going to be used in the future. Not like I don't know if Bitcoin's the main one, but it sounds like it sounds like the technology
Well, you don't want to mix Bitcoin and blockchain up. You have to look that blockchain has a lot of...
I thought blockchain was the Bitcoin between the transactions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Bitcoin is built on blockchain, but blockchain can also be used for different industries.
Exactly. Yeah.
But obviously, Bitcoin wouldn't be used in those industries.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is more of a play on the U.S. dollar and the Canadian dollar and fiat currencies, where people are starting to say, look, these central banks, they keep printing more money, and every time they print money, that money you have in your bank account is worth less. How much was like a pop when we were kids at Vincent Massey? I think it was like 75 cents.
Oh yes, $1, right?
Yeah. Now, man, I was looking. I think they're like
$3-4 at least.
Yeah, like $3.25.
Yeah. Even water, right? Water is expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not that water is more expensive. It's the value that your dollar is less expensive. So that same good, it's the same water that you bought when you were a kid than you're buying now. You just need more money to buy it, right?
What confuses me with that though is if they're creating so many different coins, doesn't that aren't they creating coins like currency?
Well, those coins are, it doesn't matter how many people are creating how many coins. It doesn't have anything to do with Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin is its own asset. Only 21 million Bitcoin will ever exist. So it's a hard asset.
But the other currency, other coins, what is Ethereum? What is these other coins?
Yeah, there's a lot of coins built on different projects, built on what they feel that Bitcoin is limited in some things. What Ethereum is very popular about are their smart contracts, which is very cool. The ability for embedded in the technology of the coin and the blockchain, that smart contract can say, all right, once you deliver, a good, then I will release this coin to you, right? So there's stuff that can be built in that contract between you and me that's more than just us agreeing that you're going to send me the coin. So there's stuff that you can embed into that contract. It's a complicated issue. There's lots of things, and we're definitely at the very beginning of the industry. And I should preface all of this and say we don't know if Bitcoin's going to take over. We don't know if Ethereum's going to take over. It's all speculation. We can just start to imagine how certain coins and how the blockchain and how it can affect industries that are out there in the traditional route.
Are people still purchasing Bitcoins, or is it more just people are leaving there right now just investing or trading? Or do you
good question. For us, volumes have been increasing, since we started, and that's part of our company growing, obviously, and our market share growing. So, yes, more and more Canadians are finding NDAX and trading and buying and selling on NDAX, definitely. But overall volumes in crypto globally have, it's had its ups and downs. Recently, volumes are kind of decreasing, just because the volatility has kind of gone away. Because people love volatility. They love if an asset goes up 20% or down 20%, because you can make money on either side, right? So I think...
But where Bitcoin is at right now, around, I think, 13 Canadian, right? That is telling me people are just buying it and holding it. Right?
Well, yeah, people are...
why is it still so high?
Some people are buying and holding it. Some people are constantly selling it. Some people are constantly buying it. That's just, how any asset works. Even when assets are not moving up and down too much, it's really the volume. So not a lot of people are buying. Not a lot of people are selling right now.
In general, too, right?
Yeah. But I think that, again, links to the overall... kind of everyone's still kind of afraid to be investing in companies on the stock market,
for sure,
real estate. They're just, everyone's kind of waiting for that or that other shoe to drop.
Yeah, and I feel like Bitcoin is not on top of mind, but when the market is hot,
exactly, yeah,
it's gonna go crazy, right?
Yeah, it could, right? If the past repeats itself, then that's something that definitely, when you're in a bull market like we've been since 2008, people are making money everywhere, that they're willing to take bigger risks.
Exactly. Is there any last things you want to say before we wrap this up? Anything?
I have to give a plug.
Okay.
So I have to plug NDAX right now. So
yeah, well, where can we find you?
Yeah, so if anybody, if you're thinking about getting into crypto, if you want to learn a little bit about it, if, you're scared about it, or, you learned something in this podcast and you want to see about it, go to NDAX.io, NDAX.io, National Digital Asset Exchange, and check it out, sign up. We're here to help. We're here to educate people. We're here to show them that, crypto is something not to be afraid of. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's it? You got no last words?
My last words were, I hope that people, don't be afraid to start something, challenge yourself, be comfortable being uncomfortable.
All right. Well, you heard it from Tanim Rasul. Thanks a lot for coming down, Tanim. Yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you, man.
Thanks, bro.
Cheers.
Cheers.